Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Anna Morfides with Many Hearts Counseling. And today's video is also going to be viewer requested, and it's going to be on the topic of overcoming betrayal in the form of infidelity, and how to deal with the aftermath of being the receiver of the infidelity and dealing with the post-traumatic stress that it produces naturally, all right, after we experience this sort of betrayal. Our body remembers that, and it goes into fight or flight and almost will expect the same thing to happen again. So how do we overcome this? What does this mean? How can we make this not feel so detrimental and scary and anxiety ridden and fearful and all of the other things that betrayal can make us feel? So first and foremost, I do want to put us back in the seat of power, because I have also been a receiver of betrayal. I feel like I've been a receiver for many things, and I understand the purpose of that now. I feel like if I wasn't a receiver of like that sort of infidelity, if I wasn't a receiver of abuse, all kinds, like physical, sexual when I was a kid, and verbal. My brother committed suicide. We grew up really poor. My father abandoned us. I just feel like I received all these things in my life in order to understand the true purpose of what it is to be a human, having a human experience, and choosing these lessons. And this is why I say that I'm going to put us back in a seat of power, because I felt very much so victim to life. But the point of it is to understand that we're actually not victims of life. We are always the ones that are choosing what we're going to be experiencing in our life. And it's our job to heal from that uncomfortableness that is going to come out from that experience of being cheated on. It's going to be a catalyst for something greater that is meant for you to achieve and go through. And we choose to learn this way before our beautiful energy called soul decides to come into this beautiful human suit. I've never always been super spiritual or understood the true meaning of what it is to be human, or how the soul works, and all these things. I was just lucky enough at my 38 years of age that I was prompted to live life differently, because I had endured all these things, right? Even with my partner at the time, there was verbal abuse, emotional abuse, there was infidelity, there was all these things. I was like, there has to be a different way to live life. I don't want to live life like this anymore. I wasn't understanding why I was having this experience, because I kept thinking, but I'm such a good human, and I think I'm like okay to the eye, like I work really hard, I'm pretty smart. I couldn't understand why someone would choose to not choose me. So after I went to counseling school and I read myriads and myriads of books, and I actually went to go see Dr. Brian Weiss, who is the pioneer of regression therapy. And his first book was Many Lives, Many Masters, which is a true story of how he started to, he's an MD and medical doctor, PhD, also was not spiritual, but he really wanted to help people heal the inner child. So he developed regression therapy through hypnosis in order to get them back into their childhood years to heal what So if you're a victim of sexual abuse, he would take them back so they can heal that, so they don't have to experience the aftermath of that trauma and what it did to the body, because the body keeps a score, and that vibrational energy from that scoring is what brings in experiences later on in our life. He wanted to heal people so they can change their vibration. So by going back into their childhood, we can do this, except he was able to take people back into previous lifetimes. And he was astounded by the things that he was discovering in his office. And this would be validated by actual them going physically to see if this previous life existed or if the information was true. And it was valid. It turns out that as humans, our soul, and I always believe this to be true as a child, I do remember always saying, because everyone is so tragic in my home country, Greece, when someone dies, I do always remember thinking and feeling that also there has to be a different way to look at this, because I never believed that this beautiful fire that makes us who we are ever goes away. So now we know that it doesn't. Energy is neither created or destroyed. Energy just is. It transmutes. So our soul is that energetic part of us. It carries a certain frequency. It carries it's a bunch of molecules that have energy, atoms, electrons, protons, constantly vibrating, constantly attracting that which it is all the time. And as we've talked about before, as humans, we are wired to be below the line because we have joy, fear, anger, disgust, and sadness as our predominant emotions. So our vibrational field usually will land in these fingers more than it will in this, due to the law of probability alone. So the feelings of sadness, anger, fear, disgust the emotions have feelings such as disrespected, disappointment, rejection, abandonment, like all these things. And how are we going to feel all these? We're going to feel them through things such as infidelity. We're going to feel them through such things as abuse. Not always. There's different scales to what we feel, but all I'm trying to say is that if we are embarking on this type of a lesson, know that somehow your soul has decided to learn this way. And I hate it sometimes, the way that we learn. And I do remember when we were going through counseling school, we were doing it was a semester that we were solely focusing on healing sexual abuse victims. And I couldn't believe how many females in our class were victims of sexual abuse, especially as children. It makes me sick to my stomach that this is something that we have to go through to learn. And I do have beef with the universe in that way, but I do have to accept it, much like infidelity, that this is a part of us learning. And I wish that it was different, but like Masha Linehan says, if we wish for things to be different, we can't create change in the now. So I need to accept that this is part of our lessons. And if you want to read about soul contracts, how we decide to embark on the lessons that we do, I highly recommend the book by Amy Weiss, who is the daughter of Dr. Brian Weiss. It's called Crescendo, and it is a beautiful rendition of non-fictional events that are true in a beautiful fictional story of how we decide to embark on this, on the soul journey that we do, learn the lessons that we decide to do with the people that we decide to learn with. And that always puts us in a seat of power. So I took down some notes as well. So I'm not missing anything. And if I read this again, so I can share with you the context of this beautiful human who asked for this video. She is the one that has received the betrayal and wants to move forward and let go. She's still affected by strong emotions and has trouble regulating herself, which is understandable because our body does literally keep the score. So trauma is something that has happened to us that we're not able to process. And as a result of that, who do we become? Our body will go into fight or flight, and it will almost expect the same thing to happen again, except when we understand that this is just purely a way that we decided to learn something about ourselves, then we can let go of that fear because we understand where it stems from. So being cheated on, it's not really about us in the way that we think that it is. It's not because we're not pretty enough, not smart enough, or our physical appearance is not enough. It's not about not being enough for that person. The way that we are contributing to that experience, say example for me, the version of myself that was being in a relationship where someone was choosing others, was betraying me, was kind of a direct reflection a little bit of how I was not choosing myself. I was betraying myself. I am a 50% contributor of that experience. So when I think about myself then, I'm not saying that it's my fault. I'm just saying I chose to learn this way how to not betray myself and how to choose myself. And what was it that I wasn't doing that would be the lesson that I needed to know? I was a complete doormat. I would always say yes, even when I wanted to say no. So I needed to learn to stop disappointing myself over the fear of disappointing others. I needed to stop saying yes when I wanted to say no. I needed to stop working a job that I hated because I didn't want to disappoint, again, close family members, because if I left that, then what would they do? I felt like they needed me, although I didn't want to be there. So then what did I do? Then I decided to have another job. So then I was working 2 jobs. So then I was also betraying myself by continuing to do something that I don't like, but now I'm adding something else onto my schedule. So now I'm working way too many hours. So I'm completely rejecting myself and what I truly want. So these are the ways that I was, not choosing me, disrespecting me. Never mind, because I would choose alcohol to cope with all that, disrespecting myself again and my body. Never mind that I would, what else was I doing then? My self-talk, my self-dialogue. I was completely writing on core beliefs such as I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. And my rejection wound that I acquired as a child from my parents, because my dad left us. He had to go overseas to make money for his family, but I didn't know why he had to do that. I just felt like he abandoned us. So my rejection wound from my mom and my abandonment wound from my dad, and all that criticism that I received from my mother as a child and all that abuse, like I'm recapitulating now this cycle of rejection. So I needed to feel the rejection now as an adult from someone else, because essentially I'm being rejected. If my partner is choosing somebody else, he's not choosing me, I'm rejected. I'm abandoned. I'm left behind. I'm left out in the cold. That is what I lived as a child. I'm recapitulating now this cycle. So once I understood that, then I no longer feel so much sadness and pain about the fact that that happened in my life. And I want to fix that part of myself. So I no longer ride on that vibration and bring that in my life. Again, not saying it's our fault, but it's not completely 1,000% not anyone's fault. It's just a lesson. I decided this is how I'm going to be learning, and this is how I'm going to deal with it. And then once you start to do your work to heal your abandonment wound, heal your rejection wound, heal your not enoughness, once you start to raise your human frequency and you go from guilt and shame, which elicits things such as suffering, and then you go into love for who you are, then you go into harmonious sort of vibration of living and acceptance, and you don't have the vibration that was going to bring in more guilt and shame, because you're not suffering. You're not a victim anymore. You understand the lesson that came from this experience. You do the work to heal whatever feels uncomfortable, right? Because when we are cheated on, you're going to feel certain things like, I'm not enough to love. Like, I'm not enough for someone to love, or they rejected me. They chose somebody else. Then I know what I need to do is heal my rejection wound, understand where I'm not choosing myself, and start choosing myself, start loving myself, knowing that I am enough. And then I need to recalibrate my nervous system and make it feel safe. And the only person that can make me feel safe is me. And it's unfortunate, but also I'm grateful for what had happened in my childhood, because I always lived in fear and anxiety. I got hit for everything. I feel like I was always in a constant of fight or flight. And that's why I had so many other issues, because we only have so much mitochondria in our body that produce energy to do things such as circulate our blood or digest our food. But when we're spending so much time in fight or flight, as opposed to being in the parasympathetic system. Oh wait, is this sympathetic? Oh, why do I can never get those right. Okay, so we're in fight or flight mode. I need to look this up right now. Fight or flight. Okay, so we are, okay. You want to be in your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest phase. When we are in the fight or flight mode, we are in the sympathetic nervous system. So we're always activated. So it makes sense to me why post-traumatic stress is living and why we fear that this is going to happen again. But we can recalibrate our nervous system by doing the self-work to heal our enoughness, heal our rejection wound, heal our abandonment wound, choose us, and then mantra repetition, I am safe. What I needed to learn from this experience, I have learned. This is never going to happen to me again, because I choose me. I respect me. I am worthy of true connection. I am worthy of transparency. I am worthy of truth. I am worthy of different. And then you do different. And then you're always truthful to yourself as well. And then you don't seek anything else outside of yourself. You give yourself all that. And then you request from others to meet you there. And then you know that you are worthy of having a solid relationship where you are always chosen, because you are always choosing yourself. Truth is always being told to you because you're always choosing to tell yourself the truth. And then when you feel, because for me, like I'm a very different healed version of myself, but there are remnants of things that I feel anxious about that want to creep in, because they want to recapitulate and feed my ego, that old part of myself that was trying to protect me but is not really protecting me. It's a misguided ally that feels safety in feeling what it learned as a child, even though it's terrible for us to feel. It will do anything to feed itself that. So I know that. I know it's not true, but it creeps in. So now I feel worthy, and I know that I deserve to have a conversation with my partner, and they will listen to me and then will rise to meet me. So when I say and I express, I still have remnants of my anxiety of, being cheated on or not being chosen. And then it's a conversation, and I'm not saying like, you make me feel this way. It's like, no, there's remnants of me that still want to take me to feel this way. And then we can talk about it. And then you can say, can you please help me, calm down my nervous system, or can you affirm with me that if you were ever, because now this is what I say always to a partner that I have, it would be, I would ask, like, if there's any time in our connection that you are feeling that you are not receiving enough from our connection, I would like to know. Or if you feel like you want to experience someone else, I would like to know. I would really appreciate it if you were open and honest and truthful with me, so I can always be in the light and not be in the dark. I know that I request this and I am worthy of that, and I know that I'm going to receive it 1,000%. There is no way that in my new state of being that I would receive that. I don't think it's in my vibration. And if it wasn't in my vibration, then I would look at it in a completely different way. I would try to understand why it happened. Yes, of course, it's going to be hurtful and painful, but I'm not going to allow it to overtake me or make it mean anything about me, because that's the thing. Because if someone else is still searching for something outside of me, that's on them, right? Because when someone is cheating on someone, they're in a searching phase. They're searching for something. They're searching for something that they're lacking from within, right? So you can't find it from your partner. So that means you don't really have it from within. So you think you can find it for somebody else, but that doesn't work either, right? Because if your vibration is the same, you're going to have the same experience with whoever. It's not because, oh, if I sleep with so-and-so, then I'm going to be fulfilled. No, you need to understand what it is that you're trying to look for in that other person. You need to understand what it is that you're not. So say that because I felt not worthy, of course, the partner that I would bring in would somewhat resemble that same unworthiness, except they would show it in a different way. I would show it by people pleasing, right? Trying to get people to love me by doing everything. And they would show it by trying to control other people or not wanting to feel their feelings, then maybe hurting other people, doing things to other people, and then maybe because they think they feel unworthy, so they're not getting their worthiness from sleeping with me, then they're like, oh, maybe if they're not giving me enough, maybe this person will give me more. They'll give me enough. But then they sleep with that person, but the outcome's still the same, because if you don't do your healing from inside, that person is still going to feel unworthy. Their worthiness is not going to be in sleeping with somebody else. It's going to be the same thing. And if we are a healed version, right? Like, so now I'm a healed virgin. If I had, and my partner gives me everything because I am a reflection of who my partner is. If there was a part of me that would ever want to even go into betrayal and cheat on my partner, that would be because of my wounded inner child would want to recapitulate something that is not good for it, but it wouldn't happen, right? That's why usually hurt people, because now I would be so conscious of that coming in. I'm not saying that that's true for everyone. I'm just saying, like, a healed version of self, if they're having that thought of like, I don't know, wanting to experience something or someone else, it would be easy for them to answer the question, why are they thinking that in the first place? And then it just actually wouldn't even happen, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to instill fear. I'm just saying, like, the process of thought is completely different once you understand what it is that led you to the path, right? So both people are learning in this lesson. The person that's receiving is going to learn what they need to learn, and the person that is doing the cheating is also going to learn what they need to learn, because it can't be easy for them either, right? There's a lot of, I'm sure there's a lot of guilt and shame and everything in between when you do that and you potentially hurt someone that you really care about, but you can't show that care because truly from within you, you're not really caring for yourself. Because when my partner was like infidelious, is that even a word, with me, he was also betraying himself in many ways. He was so not happy within his own life. So you shut yourself down from feeling that from me, because has to feel uncomfortable to heal himself that's exuding from me. If you're choosing to shut that down and go somewhere else to see if you can feel different, it's not going to work. Right? So we're both learning from this experience. And I don't believe that once a cheater, always a cheater. I do believe that people have the capacity to change. It's just a matter of understanding why things happen, what it is that we need to learn from it, forgive each other, forgive ourselves, not hold on to the uncomfortable emotions that come out of it, but understand why the uncomfortable emotions are there, and then move forward. And I do believe that you can have a different relationship with a partner that has betrayed you. I feel like I'm also a living example of that as well. The thought will creep in sometimes, but then I don't think that would ever happen to me. But I do know, and I do feel a little bit vulnerable sharing this right now, but I do know that it's remnants, that post-traumatic stress is remnants of my old self, and it creeps in at times. But I know that it's not true. I know it's not going to happen. And I know that I'm always safe. I know that I'm worthy. I'm just worthy of safety in relationships. I'm just worthy of it. And if I feel like I'm not receiving it from my partner, but first I try to give it to myself, I'll just ask for validation. Sorry, my phone ran out of space there for a second. So I'm coming right back to finish the video. As I was saying that I don't believe once a cheater, always a cheater. I do believe everyone has the capacity and the willingness to change. It's just all a choice that we're making, but also not only the person that is doing the cheating, but also the person that is receiving. I will never stand for that ever again. I know that I'm worth so much more. And if that anxiety comes in that it might happen to me, I will voice it. I will calm down my nervous system by doing meditation. I will say my affirmations that I am safe. I am worthy of true connection. I'm worthy of truth. I will speak about it with my partner. I will make sure that they also can come to me and talk to me if there is any need for anything outside of me, because that means that they have a need for something outside of themselves. I know it has nothing to do with me. That's why I always say, like, being cheated on doesn't have to do with us in the way that we think that we're just not pretty enough. Because even the most beautiful people in the world, famous actresses or actors, like, they get cheated on. It's not, if someone doesn't have the capacity or the courage to come forth and tell you, then that's a reflection of the inner state of being that they are too. So they have to do their work as well to be able to be honest and truthful with themselves and be able to face whatever it is that they're not willing to face, but they're just looking in the arms of somebody else. Like, that's just temporary. That's not fulfilling. It's not going to achieve what it's meant to be achieving. So again, if someone doesn't have the courage to come and tell you, that's not a reflection of who you are. That's a reflection of where they are, right? Because if you're doing that, then that means, like you are a hurt version of yourself. And this is the lesson that they need to embark on, and they can learn from it. And I think and know that this can be overcome, and possibilities are limitless and endless in timelines that we can experience our connections, our relationships. We are always in control of everything. And if we are still, say that you're still in a connection and you're still not feeling, what is it called? Like calm, and you're doing all the things like that you need to do for yourself to heal that part of you that would potentially bring in that experience. If you haven't learned your lesson the first time, again, remember that we're choosing these lessons. We're not victims, like we are in a state of power. Then that person would naturally fall away from your life to be replaced by something else anyway. So there should be no fear, right? So it all depends on what vibration you're writing in and what you're giving out and what your understanding is from that experience. And you don't make it mean anything about ourselves, even though I know that's so hard to do. We don't take it personal, but we take it as a catalyst and an opportunity to never have this happen to us again, because we are understanding the true purpose and meaning of it. As always, thank you so much for joining me on my channel. I thank you for your questions and your comments and everything that you share with me. If you liked anything about this video, give it a thumbs up. Welcome if you're new. I'd love to hear from you if there's anything else that you wanted me to shed my perspective on and help you shift your perspective for a more harmonious living. And hit that notification button so you don't miss a video from me. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'm not sure if I asked you that already, but I'm grateful for any sort of interaction you have with my channel. And I'll see you next time.